Welcome to the Executive Efficiency Series, conversations with leaders who are shaping how companies think about cost, operations, and decision making at the highest level. In this pilot episode, we're starting at the foundation, logistics, not the buzzwords, not the surface level reporting, but what's actually happening beneath the numbers. I'm joined by Stephan Schaefer, CEO of Expectus, who has spent over 25 years working behind the scenes with companies across the US and Europe, helping them uncover inefficiencies they didn't even know existed. What we found in this conversation is simple but not easy. Most companies believe they're in control of their costs, but in reality, small decisions, unquestioned, repeated over time, quietly turn into six-figure inefficiencies. Let's get into it.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the very first pilot episode of the Executive Efficiency Series. My name is Kjar, and I am joined by the CEO of Expectus, Stephan Schaefer. Hi, Stephan.
Hi, Megan. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Happy to be here and really excited to get this series going. Do you want to give us just a little bit of background about who you are and where you are and what Expectus does?
Sure. I started Expectus 26 years ago when I joined coming from the freight industry and logistics industry, which I have been part of all my life until then. And then back in 2000, I realized that there's a niche between the shippers and the freight companies, and they don't speak the same language all the time. So I was under the impression that it's time for a mediating company to translate the different languages. And that's what we are doing for 26 years now. I'm based in Düsseldorf, Germany. However, since we have two offices in the United States, I'm going back and forth both sides of the pond.
I was going to say, I can attest that you do more traveling than maybe anyone I know.
Be careful when you start a job.
Yeah, that's true. So, you've been doing this for 26 years quietly behind the scenes. Lately, we've been having a lot of conversations with executives around these issues, around cost, logistics, operations. What made you want to start capturing these conversations in a series like this?
Very happy that we decided to start this series because we have talked to hundreds of executives for the past 26 years. And every door that opens for us is a door into the same room of logistics optimization, but totally different colors on the wall, different furniture, and a different atmosphere. And I thought that it's very important to share where different executives come from when they either hired us or didn't hire us, and what the reasons are for that, and what the outcome is. And so they come from many different angles, different corporate sizes, medium companies, large corporations, and everywhere we go and everywhere we are invited, we see a different atmosphere about logistic cost and logistic operations. However, 99.5% of all our visits turned into success. And in 26 years, we only had two cases where we really didn't find anything significant in terms of savings.
Those are two companies that could be very proud of themselves, I guess, because that is a very small number in 26 years. That's pretty, that kind of paints the broader picture of there are things that are not being communicated and things that are not being seen. So on that note, a lot of companies feel like they are in control of logistics costs, but what's actually happening beneath the surface?
That's a very good question, Megan. First of all, in most companies, we feel and experience a disconnect between leadership and the operational level. And that's mostly because logistics is a pretty complex topic in each and every company that has to ship or receive materials. Because if you ask five people, what is logistics, you get five different answers, even within the logistics industry. So you can look into freight, you can look into warehousing, you can look into packaging. We look into all aspects of logistics when we start our risk-free and cost-free benchmarks. So leadership usually has not the capacity and not the experience for a deep dive in those costs. Many companies and corporations depend on their logistic managers and their shipping managers. And for those, they have, of course, a limited visibility because they don't see the market transparency, which we do. So yeah, for most leaders, executives in the companies, shipping and shipping costs, it's just a line item in the P&L. And we look for the total amounts, not only the small percentages of their cost structure.
In a way, it's almost like there's no blame here. The fact that pretty much every company is missing some piece of this is not surprising whatsoever. And it's also okay that like companies like Expectus can come in and fix that for you. You kind of covered this a little bit, but where do those inefficiencies usually hide? Is it big decisions or is it something else?
Another good question, Megan. We see it at least from two different perspectives. One is the people, and one is the structure of the company. So if you take the example of a logistic department or a shipping department, sometimes they are part of the purchasing group, sometimes they are part of operations or production. And that already tells you that leadership doesn't really know where to put this aspect of business.
They don't even know who to put in charge of it because it's already unclear.
Exactly. It's a black box for most executives. So next thing is, of course, the people. We have a huge difference between the European and the US. Education was in Germany, for example, you have to do a 2.5-3 year term apprenticeship to become what we call a freight forwarder. Well, that job doesn't even exist in the United States. So we learn a lot about theoretical background, about law and liability and responsibilities and carriers, the different tier program. This does not exist in the United States. So most people working in shipping in the United States on the operational level, to put it in easy words, college kids, and then they are trained on the job. And you can tell how many years they would need to get an exceptional experience level, and then they're still limited to the experience that they can make in one particular company unless they change jobs.
So it really is the companies paying for the education of these eventual logistic managers through years of inefficiency.
Yes. And so I can only repeat, after 26 years, we know where to look at, and we know relatively fast where operations is working fine, but we also see very often rooms for improvement, either cost-wise or operational-wise in the processes.
Yeah. So as far as those improvements go, what does it look like when a company actually has control over its structure and logistic costs? Like what's different about them?
The big difference, I would say, the bigger they are, the bigger companies are when they become an international group of companies, they are better organized. It's a better control about those costs. However, even they, and we just had that experience last week and a couple of times last year, they lose control about the deep dive aspect of controlling their logistic costs versus in medium-sized companies, let's say starting at $1 million in spend for freight. It's a mix. They usually have a shipping manager, logistics manager, or supply chain manager in charge for transportation costs as well. They have a good experience maybe in one method of transportation, which could be air or ocean or trucking. But then they are lacking the experience because of the reasons that I mentioned. They are missing that expertise on the other methods of transportation. So someone who is very skilled and experienced with domestic trucking, whether it's FTL or LTL, usually lacks an experienced part in the international air and ocean. And that's one of the reasons why we usually find something in one of those areas.
I was going to say, it's almost unrealistic to expect a company to have all these boxes checked. Like you really do need external experts to connect all those dots.
And that's a very good point, Megan. We usually say if you want to hire enough people and experts in their fields, you need someone for export, you need someone for import, you need someone for customs brokerage, for air, for ocean, for trucking, for warehousing. So we come as a one-stop to check all those cost areas, and then still companies can decide later on, and we are happy to help in training staff as well, either to have their people getting more skilled or hiring additional staff for those areas that are missing expertise in the companies.
Yeah, that sounds very necessary. So when you come in and when you have the big view on what's happening inside these companies, what are some things that maybe prevent people from actually making the changes they need to make?
I can tell from the past that when the leadership disconnects in the process of decision making and they leave it with the operational staff, it doesn't work. So we need to keep this subject up even if it's on quarterly meeting. We are reporting on regular basis to the leadership if they like. So they even get more skills in the logistic cost aspect. But the
Well, they
moment,
almost need to be taught what questions to ask. It's like they might not even know.
again, happy to help. So
Mhm.
we have numerous company owners, executives who learned a lot about their company during our cost benchmark and our looking at the wide horizon of costs along their supply chain. So they learned a lot how their team is operating and functioning, and also about some disconnections on the different levels within the same company.
Yeah. So let's kind of zoom out just a little bit to the purpose of this series. We're doing a brief. It's kind of a mini series. We want to keep these episodes short and punchy because, these executives, the COOs, the logistics leaders, the CEOs, like these are very busy people. But why is it important that we start having these conversations and making them available to the broader tier of leaders in these industries?
As I said earlier, there is a variety in colors on the walls and furniture in the same room called the logistic cost
Yeah.
and supply chain cost. One of the goals is to make them aware that there are companies similar to them
Yeah.
at the same base that they start off, make executives think about our concept because they usually delegate it all the way down, and
Yeah.
making them aware that operational costs, shipping costs, freight costs, warehousing, etc., is an essential part of their net profit.
So essentially, we just want to help everyone be better leaders, which if you're a leader, you probably are already wanting that. So this is going to be a great resource.
Say making them more comfortable that everything runs fine and smoothly related to cost, and not only paying attention when somewhere in the world tariffs are rising or channels are blocked by vessels, or
Yeah.
because that's when all of a sudden our topic jumps into the leadership team.
Suddenly people care. Yep.
Exactly, because then they finally realize to a certain extreme that this is part of their net profit, maybe even a risk for the company, but it happens on day-to-day basis on the freight side, on the warehousing side, on third-party logistics. They spend, let it be a couple of $100 a day, which adds up to a significant six-digit number end of the year. And this is something that most companies don't look into, and that's why we came up with the no savings, no fees concept long ago, to get the attention of the leadership and the executives, asking themselves, well, I can't lose anything here in this concept, and I can only win. I let have an external company being the sparring partner of my operational team, and the least thing that they can achieve is that the team can learn from us and they can elaborate. And yes, so that's our reason for existing, and we only get our customers on C-suite level because they are the only ones having full force impact on all different business units, departments, to get us full throttle in the purpose of identifying potential savings.
Yeah, I love that analogy of the sparring partner. So really, with this executive efficiency series, we're inviting people to step in the ring. It might be a little scary. You might get scuffed up a little, but overall, it's going to make you stronger and it's going to make your organization better. And we're really excited to launch this and to have these guests come on and discuss, at a high level, what's happening in their organizations.
I'm very excited as well, Megan. Really looking forward to our continued conversations with the executives.
All right. Well, thanks, Stephan. And we're excited to glean more of your 26 years of knowledge as well.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
If there's one takeaway from this conversation, it's this. Inefficiency doesn't usually come from big mistakes. It comes from small decisions that no one questions. And over time, those decisions compound. That's exactly why we created the Executive Efficiency Series, to bring these conversations into the open so leaders can see what's really happening inside their organizations and what's possible when they take a closer look. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone in your network who's responsible for operations, logistics, or financial performance. And if you want to continue the conversation or even be part of this series, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.